We are here again with another game with adventures cards in it. We have Ratcatcher, Gear, and Page on the board, as well as the event Scouting Party. Scouting Party is another useful event, I find. Anyways, there's Duke on the board, which means you can go for Duchy Duke, especially with Altar. However, I don't think you can go for a plain Duchy Duke strategy with Altar on it, with Altar with it, or Vault even, because there's Torturer and there's plus actions in Champion. There's also the Warrior attack from the page line, and that can cause some trouble to play in Duchy Duke strategy, I believe. So my plan here is to open with a Gear and a Page. My opponent also thinks the same. I want the Gear to try to create a shuffle or situation where I can get to the Altar very quickly. I think that is an important card, especially on this board with no plus buys. Being able to gain something is very important. So I open Gear Page, as is my opponent. They managed to play their Page and Gear on turn 3, which is very good for them. Here on 4, I opt for Scouting Party to cycle a little bit. And also, I buy a second Page here. I don't want to just rely on one page getting me all the way to Champion. So if I diversify, I have a better chance of success, right? My opponent comes up with 5 here, goes for a Scouting Party and a Gear. So they have a couple gears. I just have the one so far. My game plan here was to try to get the Champion as soon as possible. The sooner I'm there is the more I can include draw in my deck, and is the more things I can do. I don't have to worry about Torturer Chains hitting me or Warriors turning up important cards. So this is what I'm trying to do with these Scouting Parties here. Just trying to accelerate the exchange of these cards from the page line. Here I buy a Ratcatcher over a Page. I want to try to thin out some estates, maybe, to make getting to 6 earlier. I don't want to buy money to get to 6 because I have a Treasure Hunter. That'll get me a silver, and then hopefully I'll have a hero which will get me a gold. So I should have money to get to 6 reliably soon enough anyway. My opponent exchanges a Page and a Treasure Hunter there. Here I'm able to play my Page, and luckily I'm able to get up to 6 here. I think this is a fortunate turn of events, and I take the Altar almost instantly. And I turn in my Treasure Hunter for Warrior, my Page for Treasure Hunter. My opponent plays a Gear here, we'll save a couple cards or one card. On this turn here, it is fairly easy. I'm gonna call Ratcatcher to get rid of an estate, then use Altar to get rid of an estate here as well. At this point, I think I can include Torturers in my deck. I'll get the Champion soon enough, I believe, so I think that is an okay play. 2 here is Scouting Party again, just to accelerate the exchange of the cards from the page line. Here you see these silvers I gain from Treasure Hunter coming into play. My opponent plays their Warrior, but doesn't trash any of my cards. Instead, they remove a copper from the top of my deck, which I'm happy about. So here I play Treasure Hunter and Warrior. My Warrior, however, is able to trash a silver, which is something. My opponent, if you've noticed, has turned for duchies already, so they're already on this plan of going for Duchy Duke. They didn't go for a plain strategy, which I think is necessary. I think that would lose automatically. But here I'm very wary of the Duchy that they bought. I know that Duchy Duke is strong, and I can quickly go under if I'm not paying attention. So here I spend all my money. I had 7 coin, I believe, and I spend it on 3 Scouting Parties again. I just want to cycle. I just want to get the Champion as soon as possible. So I use the Scouting Parties to effectively go through my deck there and get a get a clean shuffle, an expensive chancellor if you will. My opponent plays a Gear and is able to come up with $5 for another duchy, so they're pursuing this duchy plan hard. They also have an altar, so they'll be able to gain duchies more quickly. I turn my hero into champion here, and it's just a matter of finding that champion and getting my draw going. And with the draw I can keep up some barrage of attacks. My opponent alters into a duchy here, and on 3, let's see, they buy a silver. Here I call Ratcatcher to get rid of this estate, and then play warrior. And on 5 here, I believe this is time for... Oh, I go for scouting party actually, right? So I go for scouting party. I know with the altar in my deck, I can get torturers that way. I don't have to buy torturers, spend time buying torturers. And with the remaining money, I buy a page because I'm thinking of a two-pronged attack here. One with the torturer and one with the warriors from the line. The page line, that is. My opponent has half the duchies now, so getting a bit worrisome at this point. My warrior turns up and a silver for my opponent, so that's good to get rid of their silvers. It is a significant source of economy for the Duchy Duke strategy, I think. Here, with all this money, I'm just going to go digging in my deck for that champion. I find it on the second scouting party buy, and with $3 left, I believe this is really another page. So I have 2 pages in my deck and a warrior. So those are 3 travelers in total. So the idea is to play page, warrior, flip 3 cards, hopefully trash some silvers and some gears. My opponent now has 5 duchies, and really I'm thinking here I should take some of these duchies away from my opponent. If I let them get all 8, then I think I will lose the game at this point. So here I'm able to play both my torturers. My opponent gains a curse and then discards 2 cards. So now the attacks are starting to hit. They also have hero, I think, in the line, but I'm here a little bit quicker and I'm able to land some of these attacks. Here you see page, warrior in play here. And I flip duchy, silver, and copper. So I get rid of a silver. Getting rid of the silver is good. Getting rid of the economy. A silver is a big hit to the economy in a Duchy Duke style deck. At this point, I'm considering what to gain with the altar. It's obvious that I want to trash, and I think I have to deny duchies at this point. I thought about getting torturer, but I really need to deny some duchies at this point. So I buy 2 duchies on this turn here just to not make my opponent have 8-point dukes. Really, that would be too much for me to deal with, I believe, and there's no way to trash them. The warriors can't get to them. They're out of range. Warriors only trash cards between 3 and 4 course. So here you see my opponent's hero, so they're very close to champion as well. Obviously they'll exchange that hero for a champion here because of this barrage of attacks at this point. Here I only managed to get a single torturer in, which is not so good. I'm going to play altar at this point to get more torturers. I need more draw. Clearly I only have 2 torturers plus a warrior, I believe, in the deck, which is not enough. So I gain a torturer and I'm going to buy another torturer at this point. So I think I'm okay for draw now. I may want one more. My opponent doesn't do anything on that turn except buy a copper, so that's good for me. You're not buying dukes, giving me more time to stabilize and set up here. So I managed to get 1 torturer in. I believe my opponent discards 2 cards. I save a couple coppers here with the gear. I don't need it to get to province, and it gets out of my shuffle for the next shuffle anyway. I play a warrior and I trash another silver. 2 silvers maybe, no, just the 1. And here with the extra money I can buy a scouting party to set up. my next hand before buying the province. So this scouting party is what I end up doing in the latter half of the game, really, with the excess money that I have. So my opponent with 5 is a clear Duke. Here I miss out on trashing with the Ratcatcher, but I guess I should have trashed with the Ratcatcher. Thinning was still important at this point, so that is a misplay, I believe, something I messed up on. So 2 Torturers come out, Page, Warrior, and this Warrior was quite good. I trashed 2 silvers and a gear, so that is excellent for me. That is excellent for me. I still take Torturers here because my opponent doesn't have the champion up yet, and I can really hammer home some Torturer plays at this point. If they don't want to discard cards, they're gonna have to take curses, and negative points is good for me. So here I'm done exchanging things in the page line. I have my 2 pages, which are cantrips. If I exchange them to treasure hunters, I'll have problems drawing, especially with the increased treasure in my deck. I don't need the extra money, there's no extra buys. And I want the warrior to attack. Here I have another opportunity to call the Ratcatcher, and I do remember this time to call it and trash it. And again we go with this Torturer barrage before my opponent can get their champion up. So first they take a curse and then discard 2, I believe. A 3rd Torturer comes out, and we all know how obnoxious this can be in Dominion. Here Altar trashes a copper, and I think this is still one more Torturer. The draw is good, especially because I need to green very heavily and probably put more green cards in my deck than my opponent, and also it is one more attack that I can hit my opponent with. So gear here will save some dollars, I believe. This is a 4th Torturer, and after this page and this warrior, I believe there's a 5th and a 6th Torturer coming up. So my opponent took a bunch of curses this turn. I think they didn't want to have a turn where they weren't able to buy a Duke. It's just too important, and I can understand that. That makes sense. This warrior doesn't turn up anything though, it just cycles past some green cards, so that one actually helped my opponent, but that warrior has put in quite a bit of work so far, getting rid of what, 3 or 4 silvers plus a gear or 2. Finally my opponent puts down the champion, so I sped up this part of the game because really it's just about me drawing through my deck, because the Torturer doesn't do anything anymore. I don't need to really think about what to do with Altar at this point. It's really just gain dukes, because the points differential is important. It's a point swing. It's 2 points for me, but it's 6 less points for my opponent, so it's a big point swing. So most of my turns at this point is just buying province, gaining duke. My opponent manages to get a duke there, while trashing an estate through Altar. Here I buy a scouting party just to clean up my next hand. I want to make sure I kick off every turn here. And at this point I exchange my pages into treasure hunters, and then the treasure hunters became warriors, so it's extra draw for me. That is really all I need at this point in the deck. The attack is irrelevant. So here again I trash this into another duke. The dukes are worth 2 points for me, and here I save some a gold, sorry, and a torturer again, just to kick off next turn. I clear the top of my deck with that scouting party and buy a province. Don't want to exchange any of my warriors into heroes. I don't need the money, I need the draw. So here my opponent gets a gain play. 3 piles are kinda close, but there's no real way to, like, there's no plus buy, so there's no quick way to empty piles. There's 2 dukes left. Here I draw through most of my deck. I have to trash a silver into a duke at this point, I believe. I don't think I have any more coppers in my deck either. So, but it's okay because I have so much silvers and the 1 gold from that hero. It's not a big deal to trash that at this point. So here, before I buy the province, I buy the scouting party just to clean up. It hurt a little bit having to discard that torturer, but it was okay. I decided to take that province because, well, I think I had to. I couldn't really not take the province. Like, I didn't have a play otherwise. My opponent here manages to get the last duke. At this point, I had no idea what the score was, so I was a bit worried at taking that penultimate province, but it turned out to be okay. I just go for points at the end of that turn there, just altering a silver into a great hall and buying an estate. My opponent is able to get rid of a curse, get a great hall and an estate here, and I have enough money for the win. Here I'll just look for the altar to see if I can get an extra point by trashing some money. I don't find it, so instead I buy the province, and to my surprise I won. So that's another win for me. Thanks for watching. Leave feedback please.